Welcome back to War Room Impeachment, episode 101, live from Capitol Hill, just yards away from where Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States, was impeached right before Christmas because he's a clear and present danger. We now get to our favorite time of the week. It's Vox Populi for the next 2 hours, nationwide and throughout the world. 888-480-5646. We want to hear what you have to say. Remember, here's the rules. Be on the trigger. Be ready to hit a fastball. This is the Socratic method. We don't care what we think. We care what you think. We provide the analysis and the news. You provide the opinion. Want to go? The boards are already full. We want to go to Ray in Michigan. Let's start with Ray in Michigan. You're on Vox Populi. How can we help you, sir? Ray in Michigan.
Good morning, Commander. Permission to take the con.
Throwback. Whoa, throwback. Old school. Go back to my Navy days. Permission granted. What do you got, sir?
McConnell needs to coordinate with Trump's attorneys and start these impeachment trials now. We do not need to wait for Nancy Pelosi to send the articles of impeachment over. The State of the Union.
Hang on for a second. When are you a constitutional scholar? Is this just the voice of the people telling us what this is what you want, Ray, or is this what you think? Tell me how you derive that we can actually do that. You're living in the same fantasy world that Lindsey Graham's living in. He's saying the same thing, right?
No, Donald Trump wants a full trial and exoneration in the Senate. As soon as we start that trial in the Senate, we've got control of everything. McConnell knows what he's doing. We're going to be able to control the whole thing. We have the State of the Union coming up, okay? And, Nancy's going to be sitting on her box with her articles of impeachment. McConnell needs to start the thing now. As soon as we take that trial in the Senate, we have control
But Ray, hang on a second. Mitch McConnell doesn't want exoneration. Mitch McConnell doesn't want a full trial. Do you want a full trial? Means you got Mick Mulvaney, you got John Bolton, you got all the emails, and you've got the whistleblower, you've got a shift in the box. All that's a full trial. Mitch McConnell, your argument. Mitch McConnell wants quick and dirty. He's way out before the State of the Union, right? He's going to have Adam Schiff reading a curated version of 7,000 pages of testimony, right? And it will be brutal because they're just going to take the highlight reel and make it as damning as possible. Do you want a full trial or you want the quick and dirty?
Whatever it takes, but we need to get this thing started so we can control the narrative. Otherwise, this thing's going to go on all the way up to the election. Pelosi's trying to stall this thing so Bloomberg doesn't have to spend any money. He spent $100 million getting all the Democrats elected in 2018, and he doesn't have a complete war chest, so that's why this thing is being delayed.
Okay, Ray, before we let you go, and for all the people, before we let you go, when you say control the narrative, what narrative do you want to control? Give me your best outcome as far as narrative goes.
That Trump acted the way a president should, and there was nothing wrong with his actions, and the two articles that were brought aren't impeachable offenses anyways. Let's call a vote, get it done, and let's move on.
Ray, one last thing before we let you go. Is President Trump a clear and present danger to the country?
He's the only reason why the country even exists.
Well, but correct me if I'm wrong. Half of the delegates in your state, you're in Michigan. I think over half of your congressional delegation believe so. So is he a clear and to the people of Michigan, Ray? That half of your congressional delegation voted to impeach him before Christmas because they believe he's a clear and present danger. Do you believe the people in Michigan think the President of the States is a clear and present danger?
Absolutely not. The people of Michigan will vote for Donald Trump in 2020 just like they did in 2016. Trump's going to win all those battleground states. Hey, the country's been split down the middle between Republican and Democrat now. Both of the Bush's elections, one had to go to the Supreme Court. Remember hanging? We stole that
fair and square. Ray, we got to bounce. Thank you very much. We stole that one fair and square. Any comments, observations, communication strategies? Got Raheem Kassam of UKIP and Brexit fame or infamy, depending on where you sit, and Jason Miller.
By the way, you said the wanted posters of Jason and I. No, they're the unwanted posters. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say what was on Grindr. No, what? Give me your
family show.
Give me your assessment.
I think. Look, he was exactly right, and that we need to get this thing moving. That if we laid out there lingering, that the only thing that can happen, I mean, that plays into Pelosi's hand. I mean, Pelosi wants to have this out there lingering, have this cloud be over the president. We either need to go one or two directions. You go the Josh Hawley route, which we saw in Axios. He's teasing out, going to introduce something on Wednesday, saying basically just go ahead and get this dismissed. Or the Lindsey Graham route, which is let's go ahead and start this trial right now and get it over with.
Senator Braun sat in this chair 6 weeks, one of the first guys we had on here, and he says, you can't dismiss right away because that will always linger on. This is a continual process. The nullification process here of the established order is a continual process. That people in Indiana that he represents, a cloud will always hang over President Trump, that it wasn't really, you need to have a real trial. You need to have evidence so that he can get exonerated.
Well, in many ways, the Democrats have already made that decision that they don't care about this impeachment anymore. They're working on the next impeachment.
Our number is 888-480-5646. We're taking the advice of John Fredericks, our producing partner, and take more calls. Do we have Lucy in Oregon? Is she still on? Lucy in Oregon, you're on Vox Populi on War and Impeachment. You have Raheem, Jason Miller, Steve Bannon. How can we help you, ma'am?
Yes, I was pretty stoked to hear that Josh Hawley is, moving to get that impeachment dismissed because of lack of prosecution.
Why is that? Why do you want to see it dismissed? Do you think that exonerates President Trump if it's dismissed?
It just shows how little that they believe in it themselves.
When you say they believe in it, when you say they believe in it, we have the votes, so it would just be the Senate doing it. It wouldn't be the people that actually. It wouldn't be the House. It wouldn't be the Democratic side. It wouldn't be the people in the middle because they're saying that either. In impeachment, they want to see a trial. When you say they have so little impact, that would be just the Republican votes, would it not? Or am I missing your point?
But I wasn't. I think you might be missing a bit. What I was trying to say that if the Democrats had actually believed in what they were saying, that they would have moved forward with it.
Oh, okay. You're saying this delay shows you that they don't. That Nancy Pelosi doesn't think that the Star Chamber depositions and the testimony that you saw on national TV, Lucy, you don't believe there's enough evidence there to convict him in the Senate. That's why she's slow walking this to get more emails, to get more real evidence.
Correct.
Do you think that, before I let you go, Lucy, do you think that evidence is out there? I mean, what's your recommendation? If you were talking to the president this morning, because he loves hearing from the deplorables, if you were talking to the president, what would you recommend he does?
I really don't make any recommendations of the president except that he fired the FBI, the Department of Justice, and replaced them with patriots.
Lucy in Oregon.
Lucy's great. And to the point. I mean,
thank you, Lucy. I appreciate that. That's a deplorable. That's hardcore. Fire them all. Start over again.
Yeah, Lucy from Oregon, bringing the heat. I love Lucy. Call back anytime, Lucy. David Rivkin, friend of the show, has a editorial in the Wall Street Journal today, an op-ed. Final paragraph, just want to read to you guys. The Senate must stop this madness. If the House chooses not to pursue its case, the Senate has the authority and the duty to move forward and acquit the president without hearing additional evidence, both with respect to the timing of the impeachment trial and the actual trial procedures. The Senate must fulfill its constitutional duty as the ultimate check on the House's majority, partisan passions, and abuse of its impeachment power.
Wow. David Rifkin, one of the first constitutional lawyer we had on the opening weekend of the show. We're going to have David on this week, hopefully get him in studio. I want to go back to Lucy for a second. Lucy, by saying the comment about the FBI and CIA, she's actually arguing for the full trial, for witnesses, to let him bring in Mulvaney, let him bring in Bolton, give him that to get to the whistleblower. What say you, Jason?
I mean, look, I still want...
Do you want the full trial?
I still want the full trial because this whole thing started...
You'll take Mulvaney, after you saw the emails from last week, you don't mind Mulvaney, you don't mind Bolton, you don't mind Vogt?
No, that doesn't worry me at all because we have to go and completely flush out these in-your-face administrative state actors who launched this entire impeachment witch hunt simply because of a foreign policy disagreement. Because as we're seeing now, they're back. They're not going away as long as they're there. And here's the thing that scares me, Steve. The thing that scares me is all these people who are over in kind of this broader NSC universe the ones who do not support President Trump and what he's doing, what are they doing behind the scenes right now to undermine any of his efforts? That's what gets me concerned. These people
Targeting information on Soleimani. I hate to be the hardest core of the hardcore. I'm just throwing it out there.
They're not. Those folks aren't happy unless they're doing full nation building in 300 nations around the world. I mean, just to be clear,
they're the ones that crocodile tears were getting thrown out of Iraq, right? Raheem, would you still have Shane on?
Yep, we have Shane in California.
Hey, Shane in California, line 3. Can we hear what you got to say this morning on Vox Populi? Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, this is Shane in Ventura, California.
Hey.
Yeah, I was just calling. I just have a simple comment.
Okay.
Regarding the killing of the general. I wish the Democrats would open up their history books. If they'll recall, during the Revolutionary War, one of the major military tactics that our very unarmed, ragtag organization, revolutionaries, took was that they started targeting the English generals on the battlefield.
Yep.
The generals, of course, in England, of course, said, hey, this is ungentlemanly.
Yep.
But as a result of that, they started to reverse their tactics and shortly thereafter withdrew many of their armies. And then when France came, that pretty much, kept us in the fight long enough to wait for France.
But Shane, let me. Okay.
The history book.
Yeah, okay, fine. If you open the history books, and I agree with you, that was the ragtag, Revolutionary Army we had, mainly made up of a militia, and also Yamamoto.
Right.
We took down Yamamoto in 1943. However, it wasn't, I believe, the Continental Congress declared war on the British Empire, and didn't the Franklin Roosevelt actually had the legislative branch declare war on Imperial Japan? We declared war on the British Empire. Have we declared war on the sovereign state of Iran, sir?
No, we haven't, and I'm certainly not sure of the actual timing of when that occurred, but in the history book, they organized themselves because they knew they were outnumbered, and they decided if you're on the battlefield, you're a target. And
I know that's the point. If you're on the battlefield in a declared war, you are a target. Remember, we didn't kill any of the Wehrmacht generals like this. We decided Yamamoto was a guy. But my point is, and this is what's going to be argued. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You had declared wars against sovereign states. Is Soleimani is he a field marshal or a general or a senior administrative official of a sovereign state of Iran, or is he a terrorist?
Well, one is not exclusive of the other. They're not mutually exclusive. One can be a CIA agent and then covertly be a traitor, in a sense. And he covered both aspects, as a terrorist as well as using the cover of a sovereign state. But he was in Baghdad. He wasn't even supposed to travel out of his country.
But he was in Baghdad. He was going to have a meeting with the prime minister, the same prime minister that gave us the heave-ho yesterday. He was going to have a meeting in the morning he didn't come in under the dark of night. I mean, it was nighttime, but he came there because he was invited by the Iraqi government, a sovereign state that we spent $5 trillion, according to Brown University, and lost, 5,000 or 6,000 young men and women helping to defend. He was invited by a sovereign state to come for a meeting as a representative of a sovereign state. Does that give you permission to kill him?
Well, I don't know if it gives permission necessarily, but it certainly, when a person has been warned and has been exposed to the terrorist events that he was involved in and had been warned not to leave the country.
Shane, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great call. I want other callers to focus on this. Did we have permission? Is that going to be a big debate this week, Raheem? Is Iran a sovereign state and he's a senior executive of a sovereign state that we assassinated, or was he a terrorist that's in play?
So here's the question that everybody needs to ask themselves, and here's what the administration needs to do. Find every single example over the last 10 years, 15 years, of every single person who is in opposition to what just went down, calling Iran the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world.
Okay.
If you have said that, if you have ever gone along with that, if you have signed anything that says that, if you have signed any letters, if you've voted on any legislation, if you have backed the designation of the IRGC as a terrorist entity, as they did in April 2019, if you have ever, and there are a lot of Democrats who have,
I think this is a good thing for the rapid response team in the war room to get on, right?
It's a great assignment live on air. I used to get those. And if those have ever existed, then you cannot say, hey, listen, we just went to war with the sovereign state. No, you took out the leader of an officially designated terror organization per the U.S. government.
People, go ahead,
just one
keep
quick
going.
thing. This isn't just the U.S. too, and this is the important thing. When you go back to the fact that the UN Security Council is stopped his denied his travel. They've frozen all of his assets. I mean, he is on every bad list for everyone. Now, it just happened that our quote unquote allies are too chicken to do anything about it. I mean, too many of our allies don't want to make money off of Iran and won't actually stand up and do anything about it. But the fact is, Soleimani.
Speaking of allies, isn't this is where the confusion gets in? Isn't in the fight against the physical caliphate of ISIS, which when the Trump administration started, remember President Obama came out and said this is going to be a generational thing. It's going to take generations. The 8 million people, that physical caliphate from Mosul to Raqqa was more of a functioning state than Syria or Iraq at the time, right? They had tax revenues. They had the takedown of that physical caliphate, which was the number one national security effort of the Trump administration at the beginning, with China about to come in board, but that's the first thing which he committed to in his inauguration address. Is not the Shia militias your ally in that against ISIS? Is al-Baghdadi's number one enemy actually, General Soleimani?
You're the greatest student of history around this table, Steve. Why don't you tell us the number of times in history where you will work with somebody against a mutual enemy that doesn't make you your friend?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Union in World War II, where we partnered with a bad guy to take out worse guys,
and
right?
just to pile on, Steve.
Go ahead.
But, I mean...
888-480, I need some help here. 888-480-5646.
Correct me if I'm wrong. All of that territory that ISIS had been controlling, that's all territory Iran wants to control.
Iran is controlling through the Shiite militias, don't you think? This is why they had the vote. What was the vote yesterday in Iraq?
So then how can you call Iraq a sovereign state? How can you call Iraq a sovereign state when it's clearly a subordinate, it is clearly a protectorate, and it's been a protectorate of the United States and is now a protectorate of Iraq?
Because you can be a sovereign state and a protectorate. And
you can be on paper a sovereign state. That doesn't make you a functional sovereign state.
The majority of people in Iraq are Shiite Muslims, right? That's why they control the parliament. That's what the vote was yesterday. The Sunnis basically didn't either show up to vote or had some weak arguments at the beginning.
You asked my guy Shane. You body slam Shane.
I didn't body slam
over
Socratic method.
Over the sovereign state. Is Iraq a sovereign state?
For Ray, Lucy, and Shane, these were magnificent calls. This is what we want. You start the dialogue, but you got to be able to hit the fastball. This is what the Socratic method is. I'm just here to ask questions.
I'm in for Shane.
I thought all three of them were great.
Is Iraq
By the way, the bar's pretty high, ladies. 888-480-5646. Keep going.
Well, no, I want to go to. I want to take we're going to take more calls.
Go
The
ahead,
boards are lit up, so I want to go to Andrew in Atlanta.
Let's do it. Andrew in
on line
Atlanta.
1. Andrew, you with us?
You got him here, guys.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Good show.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
show.
Thank you,
Great,
sir.
man.
Thank you. What do you got for us?
I got two things.
Okay.
Number one, on Soleimani. Okay, Soleimani should have been taken out. I believe that firmly. I think President Trump did exactly the right thing. And I say that from the standpoint of having spent 6.5 years in the Marine Corps. I was a Vietnam veteran, and I also spent 3 years at Marine Barracks 8th and 9 in Washington, D.C. So I'm very familiar with the way government works. So, boots on the ground, they congratulate President Trump. There is nothing worse than being out in the middle of nowhere and thinking that your country is not behind you. Trust me, everybody that went through Vietnam knows exactly what that feels like. Number two, as far as the impeachment goes, I would let Pelosi sit there and continue to be an idiot, just like she's been throughout the entire process. Let Schiff make a fool of himself. Let Nadler make a fool of himself. And just let it drag on.
Andrew, hang over a second. Hang over a second. On this show, from the very first opening little monologue I gave to kick the show up 101 episodes ago, I said Nancy Pelosi is a master political strategist. Do you not believe that, sir?
I think she may have been, just like Hillary Clinton may have had her time in early on days, but not anymore. I think she's lost touch with reality, and I think she looks around at the so-called squad, and it scares the hell out of her. I mean, come on. I'm let me just say I'm over 67, okay? And, as you get older, you start getting afraid of what's happening in the world, and you start getting more fearful about what's going on around you. And you start thinking more about your legacy. And I think that's what she's thinking about. And she's scared to death. She should resign.
Andrew, thank you so much. Great call. So Andrew thinks that the squad is driving a lot of this. Do you buy that?
Oh, absolutely. And look, the squad, don't think the AOC didn't spend the weekend breaking out the crayons and trying to write out her next article of impeachment. We're going back to the war crimes issue. I mean, this is where the squad is going to go.
How can you say
next.
break out the crayons? And let me be brutally frank. The whole Bernie Sanders surge is because of the energy. That's AOC. Bernie Sanders is her proxy. That's the energy of AOC. She is leading AOC right now. In the poll, so in 2024, she's the leading candidate. Right now, Bernie Sanders, 100% of the energy. You've seen if you watch his rallies, it's AOC driving the energy. As soon as they bring out the crayons, she's actually, I would argue, leading the Democratic primary right now, Mr. Miller.
Well, part of that is because Elizabeth Warren decided to quit the Democratic race. She decided
quit. She actually started saying what she believed and had to back it. Remember, this is the Labor Party. What happened in those Dominic Cummings focus groups in Birmingham and Manchester, where the Labor voters historically said, we don't like Corbyn, but how are you going to pay for it? The details, the granularity, how are you going to pay for this stuff? Who's going to pay for it? It's the same thing that's happened. As soon as Elizabeth Warren got the details of her plan, the air went out of it.
AOC is now running the Democratic Party.
100%.
Yes. And so what I'm saying is that...
So why do you say crayons?
Oh, come on!
Doesn't make her intelligent.
Yeah. See, I'm saying
I'm a big fan.
She's anti-intelligent.
I did disagree with you, but keep going. I disagree.
But which, by
you
the way,
sound like Michael Savage now. Sound like Dr. Savage.
CBS News, new polling out from over the weekend. Just let our people who are listening. So Iowa is now a three-way toss-up. Feeling the Burn is out number 1 at 23, and tied. Then you have the corn pop diplomacy himself, Joe Biden, tied at 23, and Mayor Pete at 23. Elizabeth Warren is fallen back to 16. And what they said
in the national polling, she's tied with who? Michael Bloomberg. Who's this guy that's been talking about Bloomberg?
But then in New Hampshire, Bernie 27, Corn Pop Biden 25, and Warren 3rd at 18. So right now, all cards are coming up Bernie.
Okay, warroom.org, go 24/7. This is the Vox Populi, 888-480-5646. The boards are full. We want you to keep calling. If you're on the board, just hold. We're going to get to you momentarily. War Room Impeachment, episode 101, Raheem Kassam, Jason Miller, Stephen K. Bannon. We'll return in just a second. How did they get to the 24/7, Raheem?
Warroom.org.
See all the greatest from all the 100 episodes. We're going to return with your calls in just a second.
War Room Impeachment. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back live, War Room Impeachment. It's Vox Populi. That's Voice of the People. That's where we want to hear from today in episode 101. Live from Capitol Hill, Raheem Kassam, Jason Miller, Stephen K. Bannon. Let's go right to the boards. Raheem, I think we got to pick up the pace here. We're getting some blowback from our co-producing partner at the John Fredericks Radio Network, Salem Broadcasting, America's Voice.News, and Newsmax TV.
Well, it's a great thing. We have the call boards loaded up, so we're going to be on the trigger and ready to go. We've got Rami in Miami, Florida, joining us on line 3. Rami, are you with us here on the War Room Impeachment Vox Populi? Do we have Rami?
Hey, Rami, how you doing?
Hey, Steve, big fan. I probably agree with you. I think the way that you're implying that the attack on gender was not very wise politically. I think it would definitely have implications on 2020. I would like to also hear your thoughts on how that would give a talking point to Democrats to defeat Trump.
Rami, can you give us? We're having a little difficult hearing you because we've got a truck up. We are live on Capitol Hill. We take the good with the bad. There's actually a truck with us. Can you give us again? What about the talking points? Can you just go back to that point again?
Yeah, I was just saying, how the attack on the general or the weekend, how it's going to impact 2020 elections.
How do you think it's going to impact people in the elections in 2020?
I think it's going to be bad for Trump. I think most of Republicans think that's going to be good, but I doubt that it's going to be good politically.
But specifically, why do you think assassinating either this terrorist head or a field commander in the Iranian army? Why do you think specifically this will help President Trump in 2020?
No, I don't think it will help him. That's what I'm saying.
You don't.
I don't think it will help him in 2020. I think it's going to kind of put him against his own agenda, which is America first. And he ran as a sort of not an isolationist, but at least I think Tucker Carlson put it right way, where he said that why should we really care about all the bad people out there? I mean, fine, yes, he might have killed Americans, which is very bad, but still, I mean, at the moment, he helped kill ISIS, and I don't know if it was politically a sound move for Trump to do that.
Rami, thank you very much. Brilliant call. We want to get to other calls. We got to move quicker. Rami, fantastic call. We'll go to Jason. Rami's arguing what at least a third of the deplorables think, which is, hey, I voted for this because I wanted a different direction. And the different direction didn't include getting more into a kinetic war in the Middle East. What say you, Mr. Communication Strategist par excellence?
Yeah, so disagree with you on two fronts. I believe...
You disagree with Rami?
Yes, okay. I'm going to tell you why. Because partially disagree with you, partially disagree with Rami. And let me just clarify here. I don't think that the decision to eliminate a terrorist like Soleimani was a politically based decision.
Okay.
I think that was the decision in front of the president.
Of a commander-in-chief.
Of a commander-in-chief.
He looked at the range of options and said, bang.
And said, this was the right thing to do. Okay. I'm tired of the U.S. getting kicked around. When we say that there are going to be consequences to coming after Americans, there are going to be real consequences. I don't think it was politically motivated or influenced in the slightest. So that's the first part. The second,
you believe, and you would justify, and you would actually go forward with it was an imminent threat. Let's lay it out, show people, here's why we did it.
Even if we didn't have the imminent threat, I'm saying this from my perspective,
okay,
based on the fact that he's been on the U.S. terrorist list, based on the fact that he's been on the UN Security Council list, based on the fact of what he just did with our embassy, the 600 Americans killed, the IEDs, everything that this guy's been doing to America, even without the imminent threat, if we had him, I still think it was the right move. That's the second part here. I think there's an important clarification,
okay,
Steve. With deplorables, I am 100% against this nation building nonsense that we've been doing for the past couple of decades. You look at Afghanistan, which I wish we've made much greater strides under President Trump than we have. I still think that's something that we need to look. The Afghanistan experiment, our longest running war, it should be over. We spent way too much time in Iraq. All these countries all around the world where we're trying to nation build. There is a difference.
On your strategy, we just got kicked out of Iraq.
You know what? Then how do we get kicked out of Afghanistan? Let's go get kicked out of there too, because we're throwing away money. We're not going to fix it. It's an S-hole, right? To go back to, look, it's an S-hole. We're not going to fix it. That's just the way it is. There's a difference between nation building and drawing that line, that red line, and saying if you cross it, if you go up against America or kill Americans, there are going to be consequences.
Before I go to Raheem, I want all the callers to listen to Rami, and I want to hear what you have to say, particularly if you did not vote for Donald Trump and you're out there listening. I want to hear your voice. Rami just lays out the case that one of the foundational elements of America First was not to do this and not to double down. And I want to hear the voices, not just the deplorables. We know it's a big deplorable show, but anybody out there that actually didn't vote for Trump, right? Want to hear what you have to say, Raheem.
Look, two things that we
888-480-5646, the way you do it. Yes, sir.
Two things we haven't mentioned so far. Number one is that the president was given a multitude of options originally a couple of weeks ago, went for a more tame option in a response in the region, took that option. You then had the Baghdad embassy under
A more
siege.
tame option was killing 26 guys. It was an airstrike that killed 26 guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
More tame than killing the general. Then you had President Trump going, okay, look, this guy who helped to orchestrate Benghazi, who's helped to do all of this stuff in the region, if he wants to try and do that again,
Mike Pence blames him for 9/11, but he definitely had some maybe something to do, at least his Hezbollah, with the Marines in '83.
But here's the question that stems off the back of it: if you continue the Alyssa Slotkin way of thinking on this, and you have the ability to take out Soleimani in this moment, and you don't do it, what blood is in your hands in the future as a result of not doing that. It's not like this is a guy who might be dangerous. This is a guy who has a track record of attacking the United States, its personnel, its embassies. If you don't do that, by the way, what would the Democrats and what would the media have said if in 6 months' time something else had happened at some other embassy, it was orchestrated by Soleimani, and they say Trump had the ability to go after this guy in December and he didn't take it. He's a clear and present danger. Would the narrative have changed?
Can we go to, is it California and Suzette? Is
Yes,
Suzette still
line
with
4.
it?
Yeah.
Suzette on line 4 in California. Are you on Vox Populi? How can we help you, ma'am?
Yes, hi. I would like to know, to extend to that part that we just said, if Soleimani was so dangerous, and there is no doubt that he has killed a lot of people, but at this present moment when he was killed, it was said that he has started the violent protests, and so he was responsible for escalating that. But there was no solid evidence as far as that we know of, anyway, that's been reported. They are talking about he had plans to commit terrorist attacks against Americans, our embassy, and such. So I don't understand why isn't anything given proof. I mean, it just seems like the president may have acted a little bit too soon. I don't know who he's listening to, but I'm not happy with the result. I'm glad the person's dead, but it's just a wrong time.
Suzette, I want to drill down on this for a second.
Yeah.
Hang on. You're saying that he's a bad guy, right? And you understand that bad guys should be taken out, but you said about the timing and the evidence. What's your problem with the timing?
The timing of because the violent escalades or violent protests, if he's done all these horrible things, you would think that that time would have been better. We don't know for sure if he was responsible for the violent protests, escalating. And there wasn't anything said about actual plans to take out, embassy service people and Americans around.
Suzette, before I let you go, there's going to be a firestorm this week, particularly in the Democratic left, to get more evidence. What evidence would you need to see, Suzette, in California to get you comfortable that the president made the right decision to take him out now?
I would have to hear from other people that were advising him and their thoughts and why they thought what they did, what intel that they received. I know it would be limited to what they could share, but something other than take our word for it. I'm an independent. I voted for Trump the first time around, but I'm not. I don't know. The people that he's listening to these days and advising him, we don't know if they're giving him the correct intel, and I'm worried about that.
You're the most important. You represent the voice of the most important part of the population out there, independents that voted for President Trump. Because if independents that voted for President Trump do not vote for President Trump in 2020, it's going to be highly unlikely he is going to have a second term. So, Suzette, I want to ask you before we let you go, definition of imminent threat to you as an independent, somebody that's sat there, not a partisan, not an ideologue, but it's looking out for what you think is the best direction of the country, and at 16, Trump was it. What do you define as imminent threat to the nation?
Somebody that's going to start a war with another country. And I don't believe that that's President Trump's intention whatsoever, but I think that's why he had his limited, just took out the one person that was needed to be done and not go to town on him, on that country. But nevertheless, it's bad optics, and I do not think that the president is an imminent danger to our country.
Suzette, one last thing. Do you want a long trial in the impeachment, or do you want a short, quick and dirty, let's get a acquittal vote and just move on, or do you want a long trial with witnesses, and particularly the whistleblower, Adam Schiff, et cetera, to exonerate the president?
Again, I'm an evidence person. I would like a full trial. I want it all to come out, and in the end, I think that the president will come out on the right side.
Suzette in California, thank you very much. Great call.
So
fantastic. The bar in this thing is okay. She's the voice of the people. That's right there is where 2020 is going to come down.
And
to.
there's a reason why I listed that number one trap being the media narrative of here is the imminent threat. That this is where they want to walk. And Suzette articulated absolutely
Perfectly,
perfect.
yep.
Because, again, by putting all this focus, and some of this is our, when I say our fault, meaning from the administration perspective, even though we're not in the administration, we're supporters, but the fact that so much has been put on this imminent threat to where we've walked into this trap on this, where the fact it ignores everything that Soleimani has done, not just to Americans, but to people around the world for decades.
Look, I am not Lindsey Graham. I'm certainly not John McCain. But I will push back on a little bit.
You're close to Little Marco. We're going to start calling you Little Raheem.
Thank you.
You kind of get neocon-y on.
Well, this is the point. Every time
they always got an excuse when they start going to the dark side. They always
every time somebody on
you
the
want a better table of Morton. You want a better table of Morton.
I already have the best table of Morton. Thank you very much.
Is a better table of Morton's? Is this what this is about?
I already have the best table. I have the best people as well.
Many people are saying you have the best table.
Listen, every time somebody on the MAGA right understands that there is a critical national security threat, people like you jump down their throats and say, you're a neocon, you're a neocon. No, there's no march to war here, okay? There's no nation building undergirding any of this. Nobody wants John Bolton back in. The point is this, to go back to Suzette's point, and by the way, it was a great call. Very, very well laid out, and we really respect that view, and it makes a lot of sense.
Big time.
Here's the problem. When you talk about one of the four traps, the number one of the four traps of Jason Miller's points, and it's a great way of succinctly describing all of it. Here's all you need to know. This was Qasem Soleimani's job. You want to talk about imminent danger? His job was to create imminent danger. And it's not like it's just in the job description. He has already done it. They attempted another Benghazi just a few days ago. How are we forgetting that already? Why are we defaulting to the Hillary Clinton position of what does it matter? You know, at this point, what does it matter? It matters. Attacks on U.S. soil, whether they're at home or whether they're abroad at embassies, matter.
You missed the point, and here's the point. I'm not of the isolationist wing, and I understand and empathize after reading the Afghanistan papers, which is the most unreported story out there in America, and the reason is we don't have a draft. That's the reason the Pentagon papers are so big, and the Afghanistan papers is only 1% of the American population goes and serves and dies in these foreign wars. And that's essentially one of the critical elements of why President Trump's president of the United States, because the parents of those men and women have had a belly full of it. And the Afghanistan paper shows this. Is it Bernard Henri Levy? Not a fan of President Trump. I debated him in Athens. His book, The Empire and the Five Kings, I want to get this up there. It lays it out. It's not that I'm not for engagement, in fact, but it's to look at the main thing. The main thing is China and the rise of China. Iran is their partner. It is asymmetric warfare as laid out by the Chinese. Information and economic warfare is where we're winning. We have the high ground in capital markets, in currency, in technology, in trade. You can choke down. Hezbollah's on its back foot in Beirut. They were on their back feet in Baghdad. They're getting crushed on the streets of Tehran, the same revolt of the millennials. And I don't want to say it's a fourth turning. I realize everybody says that's a crackpot. That's such a crackpot theory. Hey, folks, look what's happened from Chile to Hong Kong to Tehran. It is the youth and the millennials that said we had it with the established order. It's a little bit what AOC represents and what the populist right represents, the established order, the neoliberal, neocon apparatus and its existential threat in the Chinese empire is what we're against. That's why we're winning. You don't get into the kinetic side of this.
It's not the Arab Spring, it's the OK Boomer Spring.
So, it's good. Steve, I want to ask you this question because I raised this point back during the hour broadcast, but I want to get your opinion on this here now. Do you not see a difference between taking the stronger military line and nation building? Do you view them as ultimately being the same thing?
I think you get what I don't like the escalation on the kinetic side is I haven't escalate on the economic side. Let's get our European quote unquote allies in on the real economic sanctions. Let's cut China off from buying their oil and China financing them with these loans they've got. Let's do that, and then you don't have to. Then Soleimani's skipping around the Middle East trying to put down all these revolts you have in the street as the millennials rise up and say we don't want to do this anymore. That's the biggest allies you have are the young people in Tehran on the streets, right? You do this now. Soleimani went to Baghdad to pull out the playbook from the 1970s. Let's take an embassy. Let's get some hostages. Let's cause some problems. And that's why I just think it's. And I think the Suzettes of the world are going to be
They'll be the voice.
The voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Suzette will be the voice.
So Suzette will be the voice. Let's go ahead. You want to get what's your next call?
Yeah, John in VA. John in Virginia.
John in Virginia.
On line 1.
Yeah. I apologize for not taking more calls. We've been on our soapbox.
I'm getting constant. I want to get as many of these calls in as possible.
888-480-5646. We apologize. John in Virginia.
Hey, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Fine, sir. How you doing?
Doing well. Listen, here's my sovereign citizen argument against taking out this guy. First of all, you need to take terrorists out when you can get them. Case in point, Bill Clinton, 1998, Osama bin Laden. It doesn't matter. All terrorists are a sovereign citizen of some nation. Are we supposed to declare war with all nations that these people are from? Because we would have to declare with Egyptians, with Egypt, with Jordan, with Pakistan, and
with Chechnya. I see what you're saying. Okay, so what?
Yeah, we can't just.
Go ahead. So your point being
that it doesn't matter that this guy was a sovereign citizen of Iran. We took him out when we had the opportunity because he's on the terrorist watch list, not only the U.S. terrorist watch list, but also the terrorist list of the UN. So we took him out.
John, let me ask you before we go to another caller. The imminent threat that the Democrats are now going to, what do you believe that if he's on these watch lists, if he's on the UN terrorist list, that's enough to give you comfort that in the range of options, taking him out is fine. You don't need to see an imminent threat to either American troops, American facilities, American diplomats, or the United States of America?
Absolutely not. In hindsight, was Osama bin Laden an imminent threat in 1998?
John in Virginia, thank you very much. Fantastic call. Now we see this is the debate we have. We want other of Trump followers, and particularly we want more Suzettes in California. We want more independents, people who are not partisans, people who are not ideologues, people who are not maybe full MAGA, but we're enough MAGA that you pulled the trigger for President Trump in 2016, and now you may, if you don't have doubts, if you support it, you support it 100%, we want to hear it.
And in fact, I want to go back to what John said a moment ago, and we were kind of joking around about this during the break, but how such great points are made during Vox Populi and by our listeners. That point right there about what if Bill Clinton had taken out Osama bin Laden back in 99, that literally should be the administration's top talking point right now.
Here's what I'm saying. If you look at the first callers we've had since in the last hour, this is a more sophisticated, nuanced presentation of the facts than you saw on all the Sunday shows yesterday. This is my point. This is why populism works. The debate before us today is populism on the left, populist socialism, and populist nationalism. You know why? The American people get it. They get it. And they're tired of being talked down to. They're tired of being spun. Give them the facts. Let them debate it. It's all going to work out. We're going to be fine. And here's why. If you look at in a service that, we have 5 or 6 platforms. People hear this all over, whether it's Newsmax, Salem, America's Voice, John Fredericks, whatever, globally. You get it. Let's see. Can we get one more call in here before I got to go? I think we got 2 minutes.
I think we got 2 minutes. Yeah, we can go to Dave in Michigan on line 2. Dave, welcome to Vox Populi and War Room Impeachment. Do we have Dave in Michigan?
How you doing? Is this Raheem?
Hey, Dave. Yeah, you got Raheem
Yep,
Kassam,
me.
Jason Miller, Stephen K. Bannon. Go ahead.
Oh, long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks for having me.
Great.
I was wondering if you guys were going to get off of Salami and get back around, circling around to voter fraud.
Okay, give us voter fraud. We'll take anything you got.
Well, are you aware, 41 former CIA agents, State Department, ran as Democrats?
Is that voter fraud, or is that just good selection of candidates? I believe, in fact, in Virginia 7, I think a lot of these people smoked the lawyers that the Republicans put up. Is that voter fraud, or is that just good selection of candidates?
How about ballot harvesting in California?
Well, how does that tie with how does that tie with the 41 CIA agents?
Well, you keep quoting Slotkin in Michigan. She's CIA agent, right? The analyst.
Yep. Is that a negative?
And she beat out a wildly popular GOP candidate.
Okay, Dave. I appreciate it. Great call. Voter fraud in ballot harvesting and the CIA. I want to talk about when we get back about Dave's point about the CIA agent curated, because I think that was the 888-480-56 Spanberger, Slotkin, and Max Rose. I mean the Mickey Sherrill. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to return in Vox Populi after news and commercials at the top of the hour. 888-480-5646.
War Room Impeachment with Stephen K. Bannon, Jason Miller, and Raheem Kassam. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Impeachment. It's Vox Populi, 6th January, the year of our Lord 2020, episode 101. We are live from the nation's capital, from Capitol Hill, on the John Fredericks Radio Network nationwide, on Salem Broadcast Radio Network, throughout the world on America's Voice.news, and of course on Newsmax TV in 70 million homes, or the potential for 70 million homes. I want to go back to, we're taking all your calls, 888-480-5646. It is the focus group it's the MAGA focus group. We want all the independents, Democrats, people that didn't vote for Trump or don't support President Trump. We want to hear all your voices. I want to go back, by the way, the calls have been amazing. Tremendous respect you've shown the audience by being on point with meaningful, not just questions, but also answers to the questions we have. I want to go back to Dave in Michigan. I thought he had a very powerful point that maybe got garbled up in the voter fraud, which was the candidate selection, Mr. Raheem Kassam.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and it's funny Dave mentions it on the show. The number of people, like we saw Alyssa Slotkin, Alison Spanberger, all these people who have sort of come out of the bureaucratic central casting almost to become Democrat candidates, and who are doing very well in their fundraising in their districts as a result of it. The Dirty 30, the candidates that the Democrats put up in the 2018 midterms. You're seeing a lot of that, Jason.
In districts that Obama won twice, yeah. President Trump won, the swing districts for the control of the House of Representatives.
And Jason, you were giving us some extraordinary numbers from Alyssa Slotkin in the break about the fundraising and all this stuff. Steve, this goes to something I think new or new-ish in U.S. politics, Jason.
Yeah, and so Alyssa Slotkin, who we've talked about as one of the Dirty 30, she also wrote, co-signed that Washington Post op-ed. So we need to
kind of kick things off, right?
Right, and Nancy Pelosi, she's a former CIA analyst. Raheem had a great write-up over the weekend talking about how Slotkin was out there boasting, essentially, that she had Soleimani in her sights numerous times while a CIA analyst, and they let him go, which it just seems weird.
She didn't argue to let him go. They actually argued that more level heads prevailed thinking about the law of unintended consequences. Was that not correct, sir?
They said that they thought they didn't have
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
She didn't have the fortitude to go and put her foot down, allowing Soleimani to stay alive and to kill hundreds of more Americans, hundreds of thousands of more people in the region. So thank you,
including Iranians.
Yeah, thank you, Congresswoman Slotkin. So, but hold on, but Nancy Pelosi is now tabbed her as being the person who will formally introduce this war powers resolution.
Very symbolic.
Very symbolic.
Very symbolic.
And, guess what? It turns out that membership in the crazy left has its benefits. Just announced here on the Detroit News that Alyssa Slotkin raised more than $1.27 million over the final 3 months of 2019.
In an off year?
In an off year for a House race, that is a lot of cash. That is a lot of cash. To put things in perspective, that's 4 times what the previous person who held the seat, Republican Mike Bishop, that's 4 times what he raised over a similar period a couple years ago. And so it shows that, I'm sure this is, the Act Blues and people like that are rallying around her. But
but is not fact blow up Dave in Michigan that just called and said, hey, they're so popular. The Dirty 30, whether you like them or not, threw down, because remember, we made them famous. This is their unity to me was shocking, right? You would think 2 or 3 of those would have peeled out, right? More than Van Drew and more than Peterson, the early ones. That some of the Dirty 30 would have peeled out and said, hey, I want to save my seat. They all hung together. They threw down on President Trump because they've got to go back to those. They got to go back to their community and sell the fact that they voted in a district that he carried, right? And it's going to be highly competitive in 20, where he's going to be on the ballot, not like in 18, that they're saying, hey, we hear you. He still should be removed from office because he's a clear and present danger.
I think it's a little bit more cynical than that. I think they decided to stick together rather than have any individuals get split off of the pack, because then it makes it tougher to go and highlight them, or tougher to go and get it beaten up, or they want to keep their profile a little bit lower. Except for
you can hide in the tall grass, except
right.
Unless you want to step forward like Slotkin.
But here's the real strategy. The real strategy is maybe we can get Trump on something later. Maybe there'll be more efforts for impeachment. Maybe there'll be other craziness that happens in the country politically that distract away, and then people will forget all about this episode.
888-480-5646. You're on Vox Populi. Mr. Raheem Kassam, who's next?
Oh, we want to bring in Kevin in Austin on line 1. Kevin,
from the People's Republic of Austin, Texas, deep in the Republic of Texas. Kevin, how can we help you, sir?
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I think people need to know who the Soleimani was. I mean, especially suburban swing vote women, right? So I think there should be a long-form documentary on who this guy was. I mean, they don't understand all the horrible things and what this guy represented as far as how many people he took out. A long-form documentary that you can go on YouTube and take a look at, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad this guy is gone. Why didn't these Democrats take him out earlier?
Okay, Kevin, you're on a global platform, and particularly in the nation, you've got tons of independents, hundreds of thousands of people here. Give us your 1-minute thumbnail for suburban, independent women. Tell us about Soleimani. Who is he? What is he? And why was he a clear and present danger? He had to be taken out last week.
Well, I think there was an opportunity to take him out, and then once there's more evidence that that is revealed this week, that'll show and clearly show people that, oh my gosh, I'm glad that he was taken out. I don't know what that is. It's what does the executive office show that who this guy really was and all the horrible things. I mean, I just found out recently he's responsible for over 600 of the deaths and the IUDs that were being shipped from Iran. I had no idea about that. A lot of people didn't. And another thing to get suburban women, it's kind of on a side, but if you focus on special needs education, totally different topic, but I think that'll get a lot of suburban women over too.
But before we go to the broad topic, just on this, before we let you go, is it his history and what he is as a terrorist, or is it the imminent threat? Do you believe that there was an imminent threat and that the president needs to come forward and convince the Democrats, because in trying to convince them, you're going to convince suburban women that there was an imminent threat and he should have been taken out?
I think you have to make that case, because right now it's just the government saying, oh yeah, he was a bad guy. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think that's a perception.
Kevin in Austin, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Jason Miller, that's the trap. Kevin just tells you somebody's walked into this trap.
Yeah, he's walked into the trap. I mean, look, go back to, Steve, your favorite person on the planet that I can easily trigger with, David Petraeus, with his comments on Face the Nation yesterday. He said that getting Soleimani was bigger than Bin Laden. Which was, I mean, that is a pretty significant.
Coming from Petraeus, yeah.
We're going to post this to the site, but there's a big article from the New Yorker, 2013. Dexter Filkins, referring to Soleimani,
the Forever War, Dexter Filkins, right? The Forever War,
referring to Soleimani as the Shadow Commander. And he's the Iranian operative who's been reshaping the Middle East. It kind of goes all the way back through the sordid history. We'll get that posted.
Kevin in Austin is giving the communications people a message that you've got to be flooding the zone right now with information. Nobody knows who this guy is. People that follow this closely, they know who he is. You know, obviously people in the apparatus know who he is. People that listen to, read David Ignatius' column know who he is. But suburban women, that are going to be so critical to 2020. Nobody knows who this guy is. He's talking about long-form documentaries on YouTube. As a communications person, Jason, what should be happening right now? We got to make somebody's got to make Soleimani famous. Are they doing it?
Not to the level,
and what needs to be done?
Not to the level that we should be. I mean, there should be a full-fledged, hardcore effort to make sure the American public realizes just how bad of a guy Soleimani is. I mean, of the Sunday shows yesterday, of these 6 interviews that Pompeo did, only Maria's show, went through and did a chronological TikTok of here's when he was added to the U.S.'s terrorist watch list. Here's where the UN Security Council went and revoked his travel privileges and seized all his assets. Here's where he helped Assad kill hundreds of thousands of people. Here's where he helped kill 600 Americans from IEDs and roadside devices, everything bad that he's done. Here's what he did up till last week. So again, if we're debating on how serious was this imminent threat, we're going to lose this debate in the minds of the public eye. If we're talking about here are the Americans that Soleimani killed, here's all the bad things that he's done, here's what he did just recently with the embassy, and the fact that we finally had him in our sights and we're not going to let him go like Alyssa Slotkin and all the other softies in the past, then we're winning.
You want to go to Heath in North Carolina?
Yeah. Just give me a little run of this, right?
Yes,
we talk about unity and substance a lot, right?
The president talked. That's his tweet. That's why he was winning.
Okay, so let me just take these in two categories. Unity. When forget Bin Laden, forget Baghdadi, right? You want to talk about how this pertains to what a previous president has done and how the Democrats reacted before, which is really what the White House messaging campaign should be focused on right now. Let's look at Anwar al-Awlaki. This was a Yemen-based al-Qaeda preacher who was famous for radicalizing people on YouTube. Obama drone striked him. He was a U.S. citizen. Obama drone striked him. The Justice Department saying, no, you're all good. That was cool. That was fine. Why? What was the justification? He was radicalizing people on YouTube. This wasn't a guy like Soleimani who's actually doing things in person, having the protests, the IUDs, the IEDs, the attacking people in person, the death, the blood on his hands. And 2 weeks later, by the way, the Obama administration kills al-Awlaki's 16-year-old son, also literally murdering children. Now, I'm for the killing of terrorists, but if we want to talk about unity, then the Republicans...
Well, that's not murder. He's an enemy combatant.
It's an assassination. If the Republicans want to talk about the unity on this, they have to get united behind this point, like the Democrats were united behind this point. Back in the day, the senators Ron Wyden, Mark Udall, Martin Heinrich concluded the use of lethal force against al-Awlaki met legal standards. This is the case the White House and the Republican senators have to make now, and it's so easy to point back to this.
You're saying substance will lead to unity, like it did before.
Exactly, and you only have to look
it was a perfect call, and this was a perfect call.
Back in the day, Politico wrote the article, al-Awlaki's killing bolsters Obama, right? Robert Gibb goes up there and he explains exactly why they wanted to kill this guy and why they killed this guy and why it was legal for them to kill this guy. This is we have to get off this subject of, likening this to Bin Laden. Forget about it.
Finally, we got Raheem woken up. Okay, no, good. That's unity and substance. The call in Ukraine was perfect. The call on this the other day was perfect.
Although I do think the point that the caller earlier made, that what if Bill Clinton had taken out Bin Laden when he could have, I think that is such a great messaging point that everyone can relate
Massive
to.
Point.
That's the one part that I would add to that mix.
Can we go to Heath? Heath in North Carolina.
Heath in North Carolina on line 4. Heath, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. Glad you brought that up about when Obama took out the American citizen that was radicalizing teenagers.
Heath, Obama took him out. The Democrats rode to his rescue, and the Justice Department said it was legal. So all the things we're going to hear, Heath, I want to get your opinion on this. All the things we're going to hear over the next couple of weeks: war crime, Trump's off his rocker, he's out of control. The presidency needs to be
He's a clear and present danger.
He's a clear and present danger. His powers need to be reined back in. Nobody was saying this when Obama killed a 16-year-old in Yemen, or killed his father in Yemen, a U.S. citizen. Heath, are you with me?
That's right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. The thing is, whenever the embassy was attacked, when Benghazi was attacked under Obama, he paid the terrorists that had attacked us. Whereas Trump, he took a decisive action. He didn't wait 13 hours and give stand-down orders. He took 4 hours to have boots on the ground and protect the citizens.
So Heath, hang on, just to be clear, to make sure, because what you're saying is profound. I don't want to make sure people don't think you got a tinfoil hat on. With paid terrorists, when they did the JCPOA and they shipped several $1 billion to Iran, you think that wouldn't fuel their expeditionary force of Hezbollah and the other and the Republican Guards? That's what you're talking about, correct?
Yeah. When Benghazi was attacked, Obama waited 13 hours and gave stand-down orders. 6 times? And to Marines, that was an hour away. They went against those orders, and their military careers were destroyed.
Do you think the American people, Heath? Do you think the American people are going to buy? Do you think it's sellable, and they're going to buy the fact that President Trump is saying, "Hey, no more Benghazis"? Right? If it's our embassy, it's going to be defended. I'm going to defend it with the Marines. If I got to bring in drones, I'm going to bring in drones. If it's an American embassy on soil in these foreign countries, and they're quote-unquote allies or protectors, wherever you want to call them, there will be no more Benghazis. Is that what the American people want to hear?
Yes.
Why? Why do they want to hear that?
American citizens are American citizens. It don't matter where they may be.
Well, President Obama took. You say American citizens. President Obama took 2 of them out in Yemen with some strikes. They were American citizens, weren't they?
Yes, but they were also terrorist allied.
Okay, good. You're saying when they become enemy combatants, then all of a sudden they're designated bad guys, right?
Correct. I served in the Navy under the Obama administration, and it was horrible.
Well, I served in the Navy under the Carter administration. No, and my daughter served under President Obama's commander-in-chief, and in fact went to Iraq with the 101st. But here, let me ask you, Heath, if you had lunch with the president today in that small room off the Oval, he has lunch, which he oftentimes has enlisted people over there, what would be your recommendation today for the President of the United States to do starting this evening for the American people on this topic?
Continue to protect American interest.
Heath in North Carolina, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Raheem Kassam.
If there's really great call, if anybody in the White House is listening, as we know many of them do, go back to the letter. Go back to the 2013 Wyden Udall Heinrich letter about the killing of Anwar al-Awlaki and quote this to every single news organization, news anchor, and reporter that calls you up asking you to justify this. You can quote this. Mr. al-Awlaki made a conscious decision to join an organized fighting force that was and is engaged in planning and carrying out attacks against the United States by taking on a leadership role in this organization, involving himself in ongoing operational planning against the United States and demonstrating the capacity and intent to carry out these operations. He made himself a legitimate target for military action.
Say what you want about President Obama and that posse. They were on it when it came to narrative. That's the way you fire off the football, right? Is that not the way you fire off the football?
Yeah.
You make a definitive case and say, hey, what do you got?
Well, and also, too, I think this is where we do need a full-scale communications effort.
Do you think the case is as compelling today for Soleimani as it was in Yemen in 2013?
No, I don't think we've made.
But you're saying the case is there; it's not being made.
Right, the case is there, and in fact, Soleimani. He was one of the worst dudes on the entire planet. He's one of the worst dudes in decades that we've had walking the.
Do they get away with just saying, yeah, he's a bad guy, but Because they're all saying that. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but...
And by the way, just Al-Awlaki radicalized people through YouTube videos. Let's be very clear what his role in all this was. He was known as the quote-unquote Bin Laden of the internet, right? He wasn't the actual operational strategic commander like Soleimani is. Why am I not seeing, Jason, I hope you got an answer for me on this, why am I not seeing being pumped out from the Republicans, being pumped out from the White House, graphics, memes, press releases that show how many people, how many deaths Soleimani was responsible for, how much in destruction in terms of capacity, in terms of capital infrastructure across the world, not in Iran, not in Iraq, across the world this guy was responsible for. There is something very serious coming out of this Vox Populi episode right now, and that is that there is no messaging campaign behind this strike.
Well, the messaging campaign is coming from the people in the streets. I mean, the Trump supporters, even the independents of President Trump, the messaging here is pretty strong.
Messaging here is fantastic. I mean, this is, I think we need to get these guys...
Draft these guys up.
No, we want to get these guys some White House and RNC passes, put them to work.
Yes. Because we're playing devil's advocate here. We're going to go to another call in a second. But to Elizabeth Warren's point, the entire first part of the show, the entire Vox Populi, people are talking about impeachment, but the conversation has been changed about war, right? And about engagement in war and commander-in-chief. Is this to juxtapose himself as commander-in-chief versus he's a clear and present danger about Ukraine? Is Elizabeth Warren right that he wanted to change the conversation, and he has changed the conversation? Elizabeth Warren saying, I'm not going to let him change the conversation.
Not at all. In fact, what President Trump did was put his foot down in a way that previous administrations have gotten rolled and said there are consequences to killing Americans.
Do you think she hurt her chances yesterday by going out and showed, really, because she's running to be commander-in-chief, do you think it hurt her chances to basically come at it from that angle instead of addressing the facts as they are and to present this as what I would do as commander-in-chief?
Her audience right now are not rational individuals. They're the super triggered, woke primary voters within the Democratic Party.
Particularly in Iowa and New Hampshire, where she's got to show, well, if she finishes third or fourth in New Hampshire, how big a problem is that for her campaign since she's the senator right next door?
Well, if she's outside the top three in Iowa, I think she's done.
What about top three in New Hampshire?
I think being next door and being someone who's currently that close in the mix, if you're only number 3 in New Hampshire, I don't see where she gets that spark. She's not going to round the corner into...
South Carolina, she's going to get blown up.
Yeah, although Nevada, they are saying that her game in Nevada is actually pretty strong. But again, if you're outside the top 3 in
Iowa, the air coming out of that balloon on fundraising, the air coming out of that balloon on all of it is...
And that's the thing for folks who have not gone through the presidential primary process. When you hit Iowa and you get those first sets of election returns, there's a vortex that you enter. And it's like being in like one of those tube rides, like at the amusement park where like you can't leave. You're in it and you're just on the ride until the end. And it's the news cycle and the momentum. It goes Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada. You just go through the boom, 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 right through that process. And so when someone starts getting momentum or someone falls out, you can't get back on at some point later in the race.
Do we have time for one more caller here in this segment?
Time for Janice in Michigan on line 2. Very quickly, Janice, welcome to War Room Impeachment, Vox Populi. What's your comment? Janice? Oh, I don't think we have Janice. Janice, if you're with us, did you cut that radio down? You've got about 30 seconds here.
Hi there.
Hey, Janice.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm an independent but Trump supporter and voted for him. I would like to know, when I first heard about this, it was kind of upsetting because we the people, hadn't been warned about it. Mm-hmm. Or I didn't even know who this assassination guy was, or this guy that had... So isn't there a Geneva law against assassinations? However, we know that Obama did it against Osama, and Hillary and him against Gaddafi, and Bernanke stole money from Gaddafi and confiscated all the money before he was ordered to be killed. Also, let's go back to when Reid and Obama ordered the Bundy Ranch to be confiscated and bought, and also one of their family members was assassinated.
Janice, Janice, can you hold?
Yeah, Janice, Janice, can you hold over the break? We got to take a commercial break. We want to hear more of your voice since you're an independent from Michigan. If you could please hold, get the staff in Richmond. Take a short commercial break. War Room Impeachment, 888-480-5646. The number. We want to take all your calls. Raheem, Jason, Steve. We're going to return with episode 101 in Janus of Michigan. Next on War Room, Impeachment, Vox Populi.
Bannon, Miller, Kassam. War Room, Impeachment.
On the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Episode 101, War Room, Impeachment. Raheem Kassam, Jason Miller, Stephen K. Bannon, and Janus in Michigan. Janus, want to go back to you. Tell me briefly, we're pressed for time. We got tons of callers want to get in. But you said you were caught by surprise. What do you mean you were caught by surprise? Well, tell me what you know about Soleimani. As an American citizen, independent, but voted for Trump.
I really didn't know anything about him. I was caught by surprise when I heard that President Trump had assassinated the man and not really warned the people that he was going to do that or talk to anybody. And I remembered what Obama had done and Hillary with Osama and Gaddafi, and so I thought, well, and then I remembered what Trump said. I could shoot somebody in the street, and you'd still vote for me.
Let me ask you, because we got to go, Janice. But let me ask you, as an independent that voted for him, is this when you envisioned or understood and bought into his America First national security policy versus what Hillary Clinton was offering? Is assassinating Soleimani, did that fall into that?
Well, I thought what they did was wrong, to tell all the soldiers to stand down and not supply them with bullets after several requests over the years to protect the ambassador there.
Okay, let me ask a different question. We've got to bounce. One last question for you. If you were with the president today for lunch, tell me in 30 seconds, what would be your recommendation for what he should do to get the American people up to speed on this?
I just think that he should have, maybe prepared us against this particular person that was on the terrorist list. Like, done a news report about him. Maybe even warned him, you can't be planning all of these terrorist attacks against our ambassadors' ships and stuff like that, or you're going to be taken out.
Janice in Michigan, thank you very much.
When it happened.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. I want to go to Jason's. Barry leads in one of the reports that Jared Kushner had gotten very involved in trying to help the messaging here and thinking this thing through, and actually was critical to the president coming out and doing the 5-minute thing. But one of the things they had talked about is actually having the president, I think, address the nation, just not in that 5-minute, but from the Oval Office. Would you recommend that? Does it rise to that level?
I'm thinking out loud here because I was actually with a group of journalists over this weekend. They were talking about how I would have handled immediately right after the strike, and I think it was correct that the president went and addressed people at Mar-a-Lago. I would have done it in a little bit more of a formal setting, put a little bit more time into it. I think it was a little bit rushed. I think it was because there's a lot of education that has to go in here so people realize, because here's the thing that we can't lose sight of. We have, a half dozen different TV networks, hundreds of newspapers that are going to be giving the that here's why Trump is bad, here's why Trump screwed up with this opinion every single day. We have to be out there every single day driving the point about here's what went into
Here's the key point from the focus group of this show. The people that are the hardcore MAGA people, they get it. They understand. You've seen their comments, boom. The two independents, right, who happen to be female, but the two independents are sitting there going, I don't understand this. And I don't understand it because I voted for him for a certain reason. And maybe it's right, and they're not criticized, and they go, I just don't understand it. What do you have to do for that?
It has to be a daily education effort. We have to have all of our people out there flooding the zone on every single show all the way across the board. And again, this isn't just let's go on Fox News and tell the base why this is important. We need to have Trump allies, MAGA people that are willing to go on CNN, rumble with Cuomo, and lay out the facts and say, no. We are not going to let you off the hook by trying to whitewash things and say Soleimani wasn't a bad guy, or to try to pin this entire thing on that trap of what was the imminent threat. Soleimani was on a terrorist watch list, and we had to eliminate him.
It was on Friday, I think. The only person I saw out on MSNBC, and I reached out to him, he had just been on the show, was Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows went on MSNBC, stood there up at the Capitol and made the case for it. And what I told him, I said, we have to flood the zone of MSNBC and CNN because Suzette in California and Janice in Michigan may not be getting all their information from Fox or Breitbart or whatever. Or warroom.org. What they may be is on MSNBC. They may be on CNN, right? They may be reading the Washington Post and the New York Times. So you've got to connect with those people because this is where it's going to be decided.
Because, and the other thing, too, is our subject matter experts, those who have been fighting at Soleimani, those who have advocated for taking out Soleimani in the past, those who are saying, going back to the point that the caller made earlier, what if Bill Clinton hadn't taken a pass on bin Laden?
Well, first off, if you're the White House, the person you want on every talk show today is General David Petraeus, right? He's the one that's actually made the best case, not the Rubios and the Lindsey Grahams. That's back to the old playbook. General Petraeus, who's certainly no fan, he's been highly critical of the president, highly critical of the president's handling of national security policy. His was the most compelling of all the independent people coming on television. That's who you hope is on TV nonstop. Raheem.
Look, the three things I would do if the PR effort were in my hands in this. Number one, you have to cauterize the news and PR bleed right now. Everything MSNBC, CNN, even a lot of Fox is, oh my God, we're rushing to war. Oh my God, there's going to be a cyber attack on the US. Oh my God, the danger is going up. Your kids are going to be sent to war. The draft is going to kick in.
This is why the calls flooded. They melted down the selective service board. With right. Calls because is Buddy and Sis going to be drafted next week?
That's point one. Point two is you have to make the case. You have to show who this person was, how many lives they contributed to the loss of, what infrastructure they contributed to the loss of.
Suzette and Janice are sitting there going, hey, we're open to it. Just I need some information.
Yeah. Bullet points, punch list, make it very clear. Flood the zone with profile pieces. Get all the people from the magazines, all the people from the who write the front page stories for the newspapers. Get all them in. Furnish them with as much information as humanly possible in this regard. It's out there. But we know reporters nowadays, they're not going to do the job for themselves. This White House has to do it for them. And number three, fight the hypocrites. You fight the hypocrites by showing where the Democrats sided with Obama on extrajudicial killings, on the killings of U.S. citizens, and what they said in their letters and their interviews at the time about the president's powers to take action.
Are you the first one to pull that letter?
Yes.
Okay. That's what the power of the war room is.
Can I add a fourth point to Raheem's excellent list?
Yes.
And that is also, too, that we need to highlight the Democrats that are so far outside of the mainstream, like Ilhan Omar and AOC, and those who are...
They're saying he's a war criminal.
They're saying he's a war criminal, but they're also, especially when you look at Ilhan Omar, some of these radical Democrats are essentially terrorist sympathizers. I mean, they look at... Take a look at...
Are you questioning her patriotism?
I'm saying that her public comments are very sympathetic to terrorist nations and regimes like Iran, and the outrage that we saw from Ilhan Omar over the elimination of Soleimani, I thought was pretty egregious.
Your point is make them own it.
Make them own it. And show how far outside the mainstream they are from middle-of-the-road American political thought.
Here's what's interesting. In this impeachment process, this is going to get, if you think it's nasty and tough so far, you ain't seen nothing yet, right? We're about to go into the grind now because now you get the convergence of war, the issues of war, and the whole scab is going to get picked off of what have we been doing for the last 20 years, right? What is this? Why have we been there? What's the sacrifice about? Who's to be believed? All of it. It's all going to come out, right? That's why I get back to you need a long trial. Mitch McConnell's wrong. The Republican establishment is wrong. They don't understand Trump. They don't understand the Trump movement. They don't understand why he's a transformative and historic figure. This all has to come out. What they have to put on trial in the impeachment process is the Afghanistan papers. That is what the Washington consensus is. That is what the interagency consensus is. That's the hypocrisy of all these people. That's what you got to drill down in. In that, you get to the thing itself, right? And that's what's got to be driven. Who are another callers? We'll get off our soapboxes. I'd rather hear people than ourselves. Adrian in Virginia, you're on Vox Populi. Raheem, Jason, and Steve. How can we help you, sir?
How you doing, Mr. Bannon?
Good.
Raheem, I got your back. I'm going to tag in for you for a moment. And you just said it right now, Mr. Bannon. No, I'm serious. Those two young, I'm going to make a point of it, but those two young ladies sound like they're trying to find an excuse not to vote for this president. They have the power in their hand and the power of the internet to go online and do their own research on this man. That's point A. Point B is, God forbid this ever happened, but if we ever have a 9/11, I can almost guarantee you that we wouldn't have half of the people who went and joined the service, or women as well. I don't want to disrespect that. The women to go and do it. Our patriotism has died. That is the problem with this country. There's nothing else wrong. Raheem had it right. Is that we already forgot about them attacking us at our own embassy, killing 600 people. And I am more passionate about this because I'm a Latino, but I am a hardcore American first. I was born and bred in the state of Texas. I live in Virginia now, and there's no way in hell I would let my son grow up not being patriotic. He gets up with me when he stays with me, and he says the Pledge of Allegiance every day because he is proud to say it. And Raheem, I'm not trying to be rude, but you're not even born in this country, and you have more patriotism than most people in this country do. It is sad. It is so sad to hear these people make excuses up to try not to vote or support this president.
Adrian, hang on for a second. What do you mean by patriotism? Are you questioning the patriotism? Yeah, go ahead.
Loving this country, forgetting where we're at. People, I don't want to bring another person into it, but Dennis Prager said it perfect one day. He goes, people take this country for granted because they think this country is bad for a dumb reason. When other countries are throwing people off of roofs because they're homosexuals, because they're against their regime, they got to kill them. People forget that we are the greatest country this side of heaven. And that we're allowed to speak our mind, that we're allowed to disagree, and we're allowed to shake hands, and we're allowed to love each other. In other countries, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do these things anymore. And when people take living in this country for granted, and I think it's sad.
Let me ask you, before you let you go, Adrian, and by the way, we ought to get Adrian, if we can get the producer to get Adrian's, we want to follow up on this. But Adrian, I got a question. When you're from Texas?
Sir.
You're from Texas?
Born and raised, yes, sir.
And you have a Hispanic, you're a Latino, you have a Hispanic background?
I am.
When people say that President Trump is not connecting with the Hispanic community, and you're coming out as a full-throated MAGA, and we got 29% of the Hispanic vote, do you think that President Trump's positions on trade, his national security, all of this, do you think it's resonating with Hispanics, and particularly with Hispanic males?
That's a great question. I have lost relationships with my own family. I love them. I don't hate them. But the truth is that they have fallen into the trap of thinking they are Mexican. They have forgotten that they were born in this country, that they should love this country. They would rather raise the Mexican flag than raise our stars and stripes. And that's the truth. And I think it's shameful that some of my family members feel that way, and that some Latinos feel that way. That's the problem, is that they've been brainwashed, or I don't know what's gone in their head or how it's happened, but they really believe that their American heritage is more important than our establishment in the United States of America.
Okay, Adrian, real quickly, if we had you in the Oval and you went into that room off to the side to have lunch, you had lunch with the president, in 30 seconds, tell me today, what would you tell the president of the United States he's got to do this afternoon?
As far as what? I'm sorry, Mr. Bannon.
As far as his impeachment, as far as this situation with Soleimani, what would you tell the president's first priority should be?
His first priority is to have the trial. I support him. I would tell him to go with the full trial, to push the people to force the Senate to do a long trial and let the cards fall where they're going to fall. That's the truth, and I think that's what every supporter wants.
Hold on, hang on. You don't fear Mick Mulvaney. You don't fear John Bolton. You don't fear a bunch of emails from OMB. You don't fear any of this. You want it all, right? Let them have that. You'll take.
I think the American people, the supporters, and the Americans are smart enough to know that everybody in the establishment is against this man, our great president. And then we need to put his face on Mount Rushmore and really throw it in their faces, because this man is great.
You know what, Adrian? We can do that right after we get him reelected in 2024, and we start going for that third term.
Raheem, I'm gonna tag you back in. Raheem, you stick to your guns, man. You are so right.
Adrian, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great call. But we want to introduce Adrian, Raheem's manager. Just call in and just
my agent.
His agent. He'll be
he's also Ricky Gervais's agent. That's why
he'll be calling for the pay increase. Right there, you heard the voice of MAGA. We've heard some independents. You're the voice of MAGA. And so, Raheem, I want to throw it back to you. Is this what MAGA thinks right now?
Yeah, I really do believe so. And I believe there is a cutoff point, by the way. I don't think Adrian would be willing to back anything. I don't think this is like, hey...
No, they're not. By the way, it's not a cult.
Right.
It's not a cult.
Right.
This is rational, but this is why they support the guy.
Right, and I don't think I don't think MAGA wants the ground invasion, the full, thing. But I think they understand what's going on here, and more to the point, which is, again, I'm going to keep stressing this with however many minutes we have left on the show. There needs to be a juxtaposition between the way Obama uses executive powers to take on America's enemies and the way that Trump is using his powers to take on executive enemies. And if any Democrat wants to come on this program and throw down over that, we'll be happy to have
Absolutely. We want to have Democrats on here. Why was it you in the war room that had to come up with that letter?
That is a question, I think, that has to do with the logistics behind this strike. Reading a lot of people into this would have been a dangerous thing in advance of it. That's the excuse that will allow them. That's a legitimate excuse. And that applied up until about yesterday. Between this point and yesterday, but really where the Sunday morning shows were, and now, there's a big question mark. What are people doing? Why are these briefing notes not coming out? How come I don't know more about Soleimani? Where's the 3-minute clip on the president's Twitter feed?
In the full Ginsburg yesterday, wouldn't Secretary Pompeo, quoting from that, been quite powerful?
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is where we have to remember that we have to be the ones that tell our story. It goes back to that adage I always talk about preaching to our own choir. We cannot take for granted that all of our supporters and allies know every single thing that we might know. Even the ones who read multiple newspapers a day and watch TV around the clock. We have to preach to our choir and make sure people have the ammunition to go and fight for us.
Do we have impeachment or Soleimani callers, Raheem?
Yeah,
we're driving the ship.
We have Marianne in Delaware, who's on line 2. Marianne, welcome to Vox Populi. Stephen K. Bannon, Jason Miller, Raheem Kassam. Marianne, do we have you?
Good morning, Raheem. I just wanted to, I'm speaking on the other side for suburban women. Listen to them this morning. Definitely have to get there. Do their homework, do their diligent homework. The man needed to be taken out. He was a danger not to only over in the Middle East, but he was a danger over here in this country working with the drug cartels. He was planning to bomb a D.C. restaurant. I mean, our open border.
Cafe Milano, you're paying attention at home. With the Mexican cartels trying to take out Joubert, the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia. In Cafe Milano, the swamp, the commissary of the swamp.
And also working with trying to create opium drug routes from Mexico into this country. We lost 77,000 people last year to the opioid crisis, and that's as big a number as
who's response? Is it the citizens' responsibility to go do this homework themselves, or should this be presented to them? You think it's a citizens' responsibility?
Absolutely. You love this country, and you want this country to remain a republic the way it is, then you need to do it. I've been doing it for 15 years. I've noticed things that were going wrong, even as a little kid, just noticing things that were just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't learn this from anybody. Nobody brainwashed me, Steve. I've been married to a man for almost 30 years. He was in the military for 23. He didn't teach me this. I learned this on my own. And yes, I do think the message needs to get better. But we have such an open array of ways to get our news. You have Breitbart, we have War Room, you have all the radio shows. Russia's
a wide spectrum of opinion there. No, but Marianne, this is my point. Okay, War Room, Breitbart, I got it. Let me ask you a question. If you're in the Oval this afternoon and you give the President of the United States of what his actions today and tomorrow should be, what would you recommend doing?
I would if they would all play him on all the networks, I'd tell him, Mr. President, please go on, explain who this man was, explain why you did what you did, and I definitely would tell him to not just focus. And I think again, they don't understand about an embassy being a sovereign part of our sovereign country. They didn't, they don't understand that we have to also defend our military that got attacked over there, and then also explain that this man was also a detriment in harming us here, and this is what happened 20 years ago. Nobody knew who Osama bin Laden was until 9/11, and then everybody knew who he was.
Marianne, thank you very much in Delaware. I want to
Tomorrow, 8 a.m., we need President Trump calling in at Fox and Friends, do the full hour, and lay out the case. Here's why Soleimani is bad.
Okay, in Fox and Friends, you're going to get to Marianne, into the Breitbart, into the War Room crowd, or maybe hopefully we got some more independents. She's saying something different. He's got to, from the Oval Office, address the nation and tell the nation what's going on here. What you do, Fox and Friends, or you do the Oval?
I start off tomorrow morning doing Fox and Friends, because everyone in the media is going to pick up on it. It's going to drive everything for the entire day. Laying out the case. Here's why Soleimani had to be taken out. Here's what he has done to Americans. Here's what he's done to people around the world. Here's what has happened in the past when we have not gone after him like we could have. Here's what happened when we didn't get bin Laden when we could have. We need to lay out that case to make sure that all of our people have the
You've been
ammo.
his communications director. You're saying you call Ainsley, Steve Ducey, and Kilmeade and say, hey, no commercials tomorrow. He's calling in. Bang. And he's going to lay out for the whole hour. Ask questions, but he's going to lay out the case.
Full hour. Do it. That's what I do tomorrow morning.
And in that case, we got a couple minutes left. In that case, what are the 2 or 3 things you highlight?
I think, number one, you have to highlight, here's how bad of a person he was. Here's what he has done to Americans specifically. Here's why there was the case that we had to do it when we had the opportunity, and why we couldn't take a pass on it. That's the most important thing. We need to lay out, here's where he's killed other people. But again, the basic history. 2005, he's added to the U.S. terrorist watch list. 2007, the UN Security Council goes and freezes his assets and takes away his travel ability. Laying out the full case of everything that he's done and why we had to go and do it now.
We're going to go to Raheem here in a second. I want to appreciate all the callers, people that called in and held. This has been extraordinary. This is the best focus group you could possibly have on this. We've had hardcore MAGA. We've had people that are independents. They've laid it out, what's needed, what needs to be done. I think it's been very powerful, and I hope that we can get a curated version of this to the powers that be to understand. And I do agree with you. I think he's got to go. He's the best communicator. He has cut through the political vernacular to hit into the heart and the soul and the gut of the American people. I think he needs to do that now. As now we every week's a historic week. We're now starting 2020. The Roaring '20s are starting off with a bang. We are now engaged. We're addressing the war we've been fighting now for 25 or 30 years and topped on an impeachment thing, all tied to the established order in this nullification project. Raheem, how do people get information 24/7 about us?
Yeah, I also want to thank all of the callers. Fantastic calls, and apologies to the ones that didn't get through. We had a lit call board throughout the entirety of the show, and several calls still waiting. You can leave comments on warroom.org. Anything you wanted to say that you didn't get to say, we go through all of them. warroom.org, or tweet at us at warroom2020.
Okay, as we are 7 days a week, we'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning with episode 102 of War Room Impeachment, historic episode 101. Thanks.